What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. And welcome back to the return of the pick series. Today, I am going to be doing the picks for this year's Daytona 500. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. I'm going to pick the winner, the underdog driver, and the second pick, the driver I think is going to win. The driver that usually doesn't always run up front, but I think that's going to run up front and do really well in the event. And I'm also going to pick the driver that is going to suck. I also am going to pick the drivers that are going to be the ones you need to watch for the race, but I don't think they're overall going to win the race. I also am going to be picking the Daytona 500 pole, the driver who's going to win the Daytona 500 pole, and I also am picking the drivers that will get into the event that are the open cars. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the episode. So let's start off with the drivers that are going to get in this year's Daytona 500. Now, there are going to be 4 open spots currently. 2 will get in on Wednesday night when they do qualifying, and then 2 will get in with the duels. Let's start off with number 1. The first driver that I think is absolutely going to get in this year's Daytona 500 is Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric is a really good super speedway racer, and he's also got Penske backing, and the Penske cars, especially in the Daytona 500 and the super speedways, are generally really fast, and they also have the Roush Yates engines on the cars. I think Austin Cindric is obviously going to make this year's Daytona 500. The second one that is going to make Daytona 500 on speed on Wednesday night is going to be Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece is actually really fast on super speedways, and last year Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the pole in the JG Doherty racing car number 47, which is his teammate. This team is an open team this year, unlike last year, but I do think that Ryan Preece this year will be able to make it on speed. I think he's also going to qualify really well for this year's Daytona 500. The 2 drivers that are going to get in on the duels. For duel number 1, if these are the way the things are going to go, the first driver that is going to get in on duels is going to be Kaz Grala. I don't remember last year or not if Justin Haley made it on speed or made it in the duels on Thursday evening last year. I don't remember if they made it in from Daytona 500 qualifier or not. But Kaz Grala is going to be driving a 16 for College Racing. College Racing last year was really fast, and I think they got a top 15 or top 20 in last year's Daytona 500. I think Kaz Grala is going to be able to get him on during this year's duels, and I think Kaz Grala will make it in this year's Daytona 500. And then the final driver that is going to get in, it was really a toss-up between a couple drivers. But the driver that I think is the last driver that is going to make this year's Daytona 500 is going to be Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson is going to have a lot of baggage to basically try to get in this year's Daytona 500 because a couple days ago, well, yesterday as a matter of fact, Mark Beard, who was the owner of the team, unfortunately passed away, and I'm going to be truly rooting for Noah Gragson to make this year's Daytona 500. I believe that Noah Gragson is going to make the Daytona 500 on speed. The 62 team is generally really fast, the Beard Motorsports organization, and I do believe that they will make this year's Daytona 500. The next picks we're going to take a look at is the Daytona 500 pole. Now, I narrowed it down to about 5 or 6 drivers who I really think are going to win this year's Daytona 500 pole. And there's always some intrigue and some conspiracy theories regarding the driver who wins the Daytona 500 pole. The last couple years, Chevys have won. For a long time, Hedger Motorsports have pretty much dominated winning Daytona 500 pole, but last year, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the pole. This year, I think we're going to have a different manufacturer get the pole for this year's Daytona 500. I am going to say that Bubba Wallace, you heard that right, he is going to win the pole for this year's Daytona 500. Bubba Wallace is really fast on super speedway racetracks. You're going to have JGR backing, which the last couple years, last few years especially, have been won by JGR back cars. Yes, it's not a team that is with Joe Gibbs Racing, but they're associated with Joe Gibbs Racing. I think with the fact that Michael Jordan's coming into sport, they're going to make a really good first impression, and I believe that Bubba Wallace is going to win the pole for this year's Daytona 500. So now let's go ahead and get to the normal picks. Now we're going to do the driver who's going to suck, the underdog, and the winner pick for this year's Daytona 500. Let's start off with the suck pick. Who is going to suck in this year's Daytona 500? My suck pick is going to be Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch's luck on super speedways is awful. He generally either wrecks out. He sometimes runs up front too, like in 2019 when he almost won the Daytona 500, when JGR finished 1-2-3 in the Daytona 500 2019. But other than that, Kyle Busch is generally struggled. And last year in 2020 Daytona 500, Kyle Busch blew an engine. And I believe that he will have a lot of bad luck that will hit him this year. He's not going to start off the year really strong. I think he's going to crash out at some point in this year's Daytona 500. And I believe that he will run really bad in the event. I'm not saying he's going to suck all year, but I think that Kyle Busch is going to generally struggle in this year's Daytona 500. The underdog pick for me is going to be Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace, like I mentioned, is a very good super speedway racer, and he's been a contender for many super speedway events when he's driven for Rich Penny Motorsports, and he's a very, very aggressive driver as well. I'm not saying Bubba Wallace is even going to win or finish top 5, but I think that team is going to start out very well, like winning the pole. I think they're going to start out very well, and I do believe that Bubba Wallace is going to be the underdog, and I think he's going to score a top 10 finish to start off the season in this year's Daytona 500. And the driver that I am picking to win this year's Daytona 500 has gone on to win the last 2 straight Daytona 500s. In the 62 or 63-year history of the Daytona 500, no one has ever gone 3 in a row winning the Daytona 500. But this year in 2021, that is going to change. Denny Hamlin is going to win his 3rd straight Daytona 500 in 2021. Now, I'm not saying Denny Hamlin is going to dominate the event this year, but I think at the end of the day, Denny Hamlin is going to end up holding off a lot of drivers, and he's going to be there at the end of the day, and I think that Denny Hamlin is going to win the Daytona 500 for the 2021 season. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the drivers that are to watch for this year's Daytona 500. The first name that comes to mind, Joey Logano. Joey Logano is a really good super speed racer, and he won this event back in 2015, and in 2019, it looked like he was going to end up winning, but Michael McDowell did not help push into victory lane, and Joe Gibbs Racing ended up winning with Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano, I think, is going to be really fast most of the day. I think he's going to have one of the fastest cars throughout the event, and I think he's going to have a really strong run, but I do not think he's going to win the race. The second driver is Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski is a lot better at Talladega, let's be honest, but he's won at Daytona International Speedway back in 2016. And Brad Keselowski is a guy that is very, very aggressive. Well, he has turned that aggressive down, of course, but Brad Keselowski is still a pretty aggressive driver. And I think that Keselowski is a really good super speedway racer, and I do think that at the end of the day, Keselowski will be contending for a victory for this year's Daytona 500. The third driver that you need to watch for this year's Daytona 500 is going to be Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott is coming off of winning the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series Championship, and I don't think he is going to skip a beat at the start of this year. Chase Elliott is really good at super speedways, and I do think that that is going to help him overall, and I do believe that Chase Elliott will be a contender at the end of the day with a Hendrick ECR backing. That being said, Chase Elliott sometimes has crashed out of these Daytona 500s, but I think he's going to lead laps, and I think he will be a contender at the end of the day. The final driver that you need to watch out for this event is a guy that was really, really close to being my pick to win this year's Daytona 500, but has come short the last couple years. My last driver is Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney has come really close to be winning these last couple races. 2018, he was dominated the race, led like 105 laps throughout the day, but ended up having a wreck with around 2 or 3 laps to go. Had to rush back to finish 8th, did not have a chance to win at the end of the day. And then in 2019, he wrecked out in the big one when Paul Menard got into the back. I think it was Matt DiBenedetto, and all the cars basically wrecked going into turn number 3 in 2019. And then in 2020, Ryan Blaney ended up losing in a photo finish to Denny Hamlin. I think Ryan Blaney is going to be really close once again, but I do not think at the end of the day he is going to win the Daytona 500. So, those are overall my picks for this year's Daytona 500. A reminder, the suck pick is Kyle Busch, underdog is Bubba Wallace, and the winner of this year's Daytona 500 is going to be Denny Hamlin. Anyways, that is going to be the picks video for this year's Daytona 500. I am so happy to be bringing this series back to you guys. There's going to be some additions I'm going to eventually be adding for this year's picks, a way for you guys to eventually get involved in this year's pick series. I haven't decided what week we're going to start doing some additions to this, but the pick series is officially back. I'm really excited. I was contemplating bringing this series back or not, but the pick series is officially back for 2021. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links in the description below for that. And comment below your thoughts on today's video. Comment below your picks as well. Who is going to be the suck pick? Who is going to be the underdog pick? And who is your driver that you think will win this year's Daytona 500? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video and you're new, make sure you do like this video and subscribe to the channel. Links in the description below for that. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.